Ladies and gents, today I'm introducing Convex's very own directive, use Convex workflow. I'm just joking, but really what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about how Convex workflows work. I'm going to explain to you what workflows even are. I'm going to show you how you set them up with Convex, and I'm even going to give you some code to play with to start building your own very complex workflow. This one's going to be a fun one. There are going to be some analogies that might not make sense. There are going to be some examples. There's going to be class. There are going to be some notes. I'm super excited to dive in this topic with you. Let's get started. So first things first, in order to understand what workflows are, I'm going to share with you the grandpa analogy, one I just made 5 seconds ago. I'm then going to explain to you what background jobs are. And then finally, we're going to understand what workflows or what a workflow is. So let's start off with the grandpa analogy. There's you and your grandpa needs a lot of attention. But you have 3 steps or 3 jobs or 3 tasks to do. So unfortunately, because you have no workflows, what you're going to do is you're going to leave your grandpa who needs attention, who needs love and care, and you're going to do job number 1. And then once you're done job number 1, you're going to do job number 2. And once you're done job number 2, you're going to go to job number 3. And then once you're done all that, you go back to your grandpa. Now, this could have taken a while. This could have been a short time, but you were not with your grandpa. Bad developer. Now, the second analogy or the second version of this is, let's say you're using workflows, and this time it's you, your grandpa, and your baby brother. And luckily, because you have a baby brother, you can boss that baby brother around and tell him to do the stuff that you were going to do originally. So instead of you leaving to do job 1, job 2, job 3, what you're going to do is you're going to send your little brother. He's going to do job 1, then do job 2, then job 3, and then come back to you with whatever results, information that job 1, job 2, and job 3 would have given him. You're still with your grandfather. Now, this analogy sounds crazy, but hold on. With this in mind, I want us to think of a web page. I want us to think of a web app. And in this web app, you have a form you have to fill out. Let's say you're building a web scraper, right? And the form tells you, give me the name of the site and give me the URL. And you fill that form and then you click submit. What's going to happen most likely is you're going to call your server, and your server is going to call some sort of third-party service. Let's assume you're using Firecrawl for this case. And let's say it takes some time. It's a really large site that you're scraping, and it's going to take a second for Firecrawl to respond to the server and then for your server to respond to your web app. If this takes too long, this synchronous call blocks the user, meaning I am stuck on the web page. You ever tried to book a flight or like a reservation or whatever, and then you click submit, and then it tells you don't refresh this page, don't leave this page? That's essentially what's happening over here. But this is terrible UX. Another issue that we have to think about is, what if something goes wrong? What if the call fails? What if there's a timeout? There are plenty of things that can go wrong. And this, ladies and gents, as web developers, is unacceptable. We have to make sure that our apps are functional, usable, reliable, and safe. Now, with this problem in mind, let's say we wanted to build a site that scrapes the web, but we're scraping really large pages. What can we do? How can we solve this problem? Introducing background jobs. Background jobs are tasks that run in the background, separate from the main application flow, to handle time-consuming processes without interrupting the user experience. Meaning, let's say I had a background job working here. I would click submit, and then the scraping would begin. But because now that's a background job, the user can continue to use the site. I can send them a notification saying, oh, the scraping is done. They can still continue about using the site. They can even leave the site and come back if they want to. Now, what tasks can be background jobs? These tasks might include data processing, sending batch emails, performing scheduled maintenance. You're using AI for some very large, strenuous work. It could be anything that takes time. Utilizing background jobs allows your application to remain responsive and scalable, handling more requests simultaneously by offloading heavy lifting to background processes. Hopefully now the analogy makes sense. Instead of me doing the work, I'm going to get my little brother to do the work. So if we were to update the diagram above, essentially this is what would be happening. We'd be submitting the same information. Server then starts up a worker process. The worker process then does the site scraping, make sure all that stuff gets taken care of. And I'm just waiting. Now I could go to another page, I can go to another tab, I could close the tab, I can come back. This is the beauty of a background job. And whenever you have requests that take too long or some heavy process, I would 100% use a background job. Now, to finalize your understanding for background jobs, a background job is a single unit of work that runs asynchronously, typically without direct user interaction, sending an email, resizing an image, or processing something, and background jobs can be part of a workflow. So now that you understand a background job, you're going to easily understand what a workflow is. A workflow is a defined sequence of tasks or jobs that run in a specific order to accomplish some outcome. It represents how processes are structured, which job runs first, which depends on others, what triggers them, and what happens on success or failure. So in very simple Michael Shermellis terms, how do we understand this? A workflow orchestrates multiple background jobs. Workflow manages when and how background jobs run. Or a workflow is a coordinated sequence of background jobs or tasks. So now that you understand a background job, a workflow, and hopefully the grandpa analogy, if you didn't, let me know in the comments down below. What we're going to do is we're going to build a simple web app where we scrape a site. That scraped information is passed to an AI model to summarize the contents, and then those contents are stored in a DB. Now the scraping is going to take some time, summarization is going to take some time. So this is a perfect job for a workflow. And I've definitely oversimplified how powerful workflows are because there are so many benefits to workflows. First, reliability and resilience. A workflow automatically retries failed tasks, handles transient third-party failures, and resumes from the last successful step instead of restarting everything. Visibility. Each workflow has a visual timeline or log of steps, and their durations and statuses. They're deterministic and their state management. Workflows persist their state so that even if the server restarts, they continue exactly where they left off. You don't lose your progress mid-process, right? Complex coordination. You can do parallel jobs, conditional logic. You can have human input, delays, all this in one workflow. Scalability was one of the important things we talked about, right? Web servers respond immediately while worker processes scale independently to handle the workflow load. This prevents user-facing downtime under heavy load. So the users can send off tasks and go about their business and do their thing. Workflows are auditable. They're great for integrations, third-party integrations, and you can even set up some workflows to pause and wait for human approval before they continue on. I hope you enjoyed that crash course. Now let's get into some code. So I have this demo app I built. I will put the GitHub link in the description below. You can fork this repo and play with it. I'm going to scrape some websites. In particular, I'm just going to scrape my portfolio site. So I'm going to scrape as many as I can. So right now it says I have 5 workflows running, and you can see each workflow has different steps. So the first step is scraping the site. The second step is analyzing the site. The third step is storing the information in the DB. You can see some of the workflows are completing. All of them have completed. I can click on a card and I can see the summary of the site. And again, here's what's cool about workflows. Now I'm going to scrape the Convex site. I'm going to hit analyze. I'm going to hit refresh. As you can see, it's still going. And then I could click game. I have a clicking game over here. And as I'm playing this game, I still have an active workflow running. So this workflow continues to do its thing as your user goes about your site. My clicking speed is terrible because I'm using a trackpad. But hopefully by now you get the gist. I know you want to get into the code. Let's get into the code. Now to follow along with me, click the GitHub link in the description. Download this repo, fork this repo, and let's go through the code together. So first things first, what we've done is we've set up a workflow manager. There's some configuration here we set up, and then we're going to define our workflow. And our workflow is essentially going to do 3 things. It's going to scrape someone's website. It's going to scrape the URL it's been given. It's going to summarize the contents of the scraping using AI, and it's going to store that information in the DB. So you see here, I have an action called scrape site. And then if I go to this action, it's literally me using the Firecall API. I scrape the site, and then I pass the contents of the site that I've scraped. Pretty simple stuff, right? And then once I've scraped the site, I get the markdown contents, and then I pass it to the next task, step, or job, and this is called analyze site. And when I go to analyze site, it's basically the same thing. I'm using the Anthropic API. I'm passing the site content, and I have a system prompt that basically tells it you're a helpful assistant, summarize this page, give it to me in 3 paragraphs, right? And then once this is done, we're going to get this information, and then we're going to run a mutation. We're going to store the result in our Convex database. And once this is done, we return the content. This is essentially our workflow. Now, in order to call our workflow, I'm going to run a mutation called kickoff workflow. And essentially what this is going to do is this is going to start the workflow. I'm going to call my workflow definition, which is here, right here. I'm going to pass in the arguments. I can name my workflow if I want. In this case, I'm naming them based on the site URL. And then what I do, once the workflow started, I actually store a placeholder in the site analysis table, basically a way for me to show the user, oh, the process has started, but there's no results yet. So this is how I kick off the workflow, and then I have a couple other functions. This basically gets the workflow status, and this gets all the active workflow IDs. And on the home page, I use Convex's client library. I use mutation and query. Mutation, I'm basically kicking off the workflow. Query, I'm basically getting the scraped results. And I also get all the active workflow IDs from the database. And the result of that, ladies and gentlemen, is a durable, scalable site analyzer built using Convex workflow. As you can see, I can spam as many of these, and I can go to my clicking game, and I can continue to have fun on my site, do my thing. And this is the power of workflows. Now, there's so much more I didn't cover. One in particular is you can run certain tasks or steps or jobs in parallel. So in this case, we needed the scraped site content in order for the AI to summarize it. But let's say this is not the case and you can run these tasks in parallel. You can do that with Convex workflow. Again, I'll link the docs in the description below. Ladies and gents, that is pretty much it for this video. There's so much of workflows that I didn't go through, but I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're curious. Make sure to fork the repo in the description down below. Click the doc link down below. Set this up. Have fun. I can't wait to see what you build with this. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I've been Mike. You've been awesome. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.